Hey, baby, we're going to be here all day.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is.
This is Spittin' Facts with Zach.
I will not tolerate players that think it's about them when it's about the team.
To all the non-believers. To all the non-believers.
The sports podcast about the important issues in New York and national sports.
We are not a charity. We cannot give them the game.
And still.
No hot takes, just facts.
So get your facts straight.
Now, here's Zach.
Can't wait.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the third episode of Spittin' Facts with Zach, with Kyle. And I cannot believe that Jason Garrett is still the head coach of the Cowboys. I wanted to start off with saying that this is the greatest start to the new year, that Jason Garrett is no longer the head coach, and that a decade of absolute mediocrity is over, and it is not. How is Jason Garrett still the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys right now?
It's a pretty good question, Zach.
It's absolutely
pretty good question, buddy.
I'm just like so absolutely heated right now, where other people are getting head coaching jobs. Like Ron Rivera is already.
It's a good hire. I think it's a good hire.
It is a good hire. It is a good hire, and like, I'd be down to have Ron
yeah,
Rivera
right?
as my head coach.
Yeah.
I'd be down to be interviewing Mike McCarthy right now.
Like, that would be for the Giants. That would also be a good hire.
They did.
I know that,
him.
but I think that would be a good hire.
I absolutely can't.
Jason Garrett still has a job.
He's met not once, not twice, but 3 times with Jerry Jones, and we still can't come up with like a solution for like what's going on. Like you said, there's like
what needs to be said after the first meeting that wasn't said in the first to warrant a second meeting. Which then what wasn't said in the second meeting that warrants a third meeting?
It's unbelievable.
Why are you meeting this many times? What's not said in the first meeting that needs to be said again? That's not said in the second meeting that needs to be said again.
Jerry Jones can't get along with Jimmy Johnson after winning back-to-back Super Bowls to the point where they can no longer be working together. But Jason Garrett has been there for 9+ seasons with 2 playoff wins, with unbelievable talent. And he can't let go. It's a dysfunctional relationship, and it's just I can't take it, Kyle. I cannot take it. Like, and now they're saying today that like there's a remote possibility he could be back as some sort of role within the team. I absolutely can't understand it. And this isn't even what I wanted the show to be about. But I just like
had to get it off your chest.
Did not think when we were starting this that he would still be on the team. Watching the game on Sunday. And the Eagles won. I was like, all right, that's it. Like, it's over. He's going to be fired. And it's
All right, do you want to get a move on to the theme of the episode today?
I guess.
Right, let it out.
Let it out,
I guess.
Okay, yeah. All right, new decade.
New decade.
New
Here we
year,
go.
new year. All right. What we really wanted to do. Wow, that just gave me like so much stress just like bringing that up.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
I'll handle it for a minute. So what we really want to talk about on this episode is we're gonna go over the best sports moment for each year throughout the decade, starting in 2010, going back to 2019. We're gonna go through what we think are our top sports moments, American sports moments of the decade.
It's gonna be a real like reminisce type episode.
It's gonna be really cool. Yeah, a nostalgia trip.
Journey into like my basement where we're just talking about stuff that happened and not even necessarily just predicting things. It's just, oh, this was dope. Like, oh, this was like a cool moment.
Right.
So just kind of thinking about the best moments that.
Glossing over the decade, best sports moments of the decade.
Exactly. And stuff that happened in 2010, 2011, 2012, it's crazy to think about.
We were freshmen and sophomores in high school.
It seems like it was such a.
2009, we were freshmen and we were.
Crazy.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Does that mean we're young or like does that mean we're old? Like, it just means that time flies, honestly.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies. So why don't we
I'm having fun in life.
Why don't we just get right into it? And first show of 2020, we'll talk about what happened in 2010. So we basically we're going to talk about the 3 major sports and maybe some other things.
We'll sprinkle in some of the other sports.
Sprinkle in some like very noticeable things. So for baseball, the Giants, who without kind of realizing it, won the most World Series out of any team.
They have the most World Series of the decade.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's pretty interesting.
3 and 5 years. 2010 was the beginning of the San Francisco, Giants run.
Yep.
pretty good baseball season. What I'm trying to remember, but beginning of the run was pretty cool. Bumgarner was a rookie. Lincecum was wheeling and dealing on that squad.
Yep, I like Lincecum was
Lincecum was definitely the wheeler and dealer
for sure. And as we were talking about the other day, like Edgar Renteria is the MVP of the World Series. Kind of crazy how that ended up happening.
Right. Giants' first win of the decade. Not much really going on else in baseball.
And as I've said, like I wasn't the biggest baseball guy at the time, so like Kyle can help me out with some certain things. So like I can't think of anything in particular that was particularly noteworthy for 2010 for baseball.
I mean, like Miguel Cabrera was still dominating baseball in the early half of the decade.
So I'll say for basketball, seems like forever ago, but the Lakers and the Celtics played each other in an NBA Finals. What an epic finals that was. Back and forth, Glenn Davis and Nate Robinson, like big game 4 in that series. Celtics go up 3-2 in the series.
Kobe wins his 5th.
Yeah, but like before that, like we were up 3-2.
Right, should have closed it out.
But if you remember what happened in Game 6, Kendrick Perkins tears his ACL in the opening minutes of Game 6.
That was the series Ray Allen had the 3-point record, and the next game shit on the record, like didn't
hit another three until Game 4.
Okay, yeah.
Literally didn't hit another 3 till Game 4.
But like had the record and then it was really hot one night and then really cold. Got cold.
I don't have it in front of me now, but I remember I one time had done the numbers for that, and it was unbelievable how cold he became. But then crazy Game 7, end up winning at 83-79 in a slugfest. They came back from 13 down, and Kobe gets his 5th ring. Within that run for the Celtics to get to the finals, they knock out the Cavs yet again and sent LeBron running all the way out of Cleveland. Like Celtics kicked LeBron out of Cleveland, and he made the decision to go to Miami.
Yeah, so for the decision, I was at an Applebee's and on a camp field trip, and it was crazy. I just
it's
remember being surrounded.
You remember where you are.
I just remember being surrounded by a lot of Knicks fans, and they were very upset he didn't go to New York.
Thinking that there was actually a remote possibility of him going to New York.
Right, but that was the big thing.
And I remember I was coming home from vacation, and I was driving home from the airport and driving through Greenwich because he made the decision.
In Greenwich, the Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club in Greenwich. I was like, oh, wow, LeBron's making a decision.
Okay, so
that was crazy. And then
Jason Garrett
for football. So I was saying, it runs all full circle. So that was his first year as taking over as the full-time coach in 2010, or he took over as interim coach that year. I can't believe he's still I just can't believe he's still the coach.
And for my team, that's the year we had the Deshaun Jackson miracle at the Meadowlands, part 3.
So many say part 2. It was really part 3.
It's part 3.
So we wanted to sprinkle in some audio clips, like one from each year that was worth it. So if anyone remembers, just a little context, they were down 31-10 with about 7 minutes to go in that game.
It was like 8:40.
So but I think around whatever.
I was at this game. You're at the game. I'm at the game.
I was at a football
Holy
banquet.
shit, I'm at the game.
Yeah, that's crazy. So this was the play. Matt Dodge, dude, just punt it out of bounds, dude. Just punt the ball out of bounds.
And Deshaun Jackson, who has averaged 14th best in the NFL, 8.7 yards per return, has not returned one for a touchdown this year. Waits. And it's a line drive kick. Jackson bobbles it and now has to try and recover. Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding? Deshaun Jackson still not in, and now in for the touchdown. No flags. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
No time left. Eagles win.
Just Tom Coughlin yelling at Matt Dodge is one of the funniest.
Incredible.
That was one of and Dodge has literally no idea what to say.
He's just like, why did I not kick it out of bounds?
Literally line drive directly to one of the most dangerous
All right, so that's wrapping up 2010.
No, but I was just going to say, like, they end up going to play the playoffs. They get into the playoffs. Then they lose to Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Yes.
And that ends up being his run to, like, what, as of today, is his only Super Bowl.
Right.
And can't forget, arguably, my favorite moment of 2010 was the Beast Mode run. So that was incredible.
Right, cannot forget Beast Mode.
Can't forget about the Beast Mode run. So that was 2010. Moving on to 2011. Where do you want to start with this?
Baseball. So 2011, we started pretty hot with David Freese. If you guys remember, David Freese, Cardinals Rangers World Series, Game 6. hits the game tying triple.
Yeah, 2-run triple.
It's the game tying 2-run triple over Nelson Cruz, I want to say, who was playing right field. Nelson Cruz, I think, was playing right field on the Rangers, and that was really cool. And then Freese had the go ahead walk off.
So as we were looking,
unbelievable.
Hamilton hits a home run in the top of the 10th to give them a 2-run lead, and they tie it again to put it further into extra innings, and then in the bottom of the 11th was.
Freese hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
I feel like we're gonna be hearing a lot of Joe Buck this.
Yeah, there's a good amount. It's funny. I was almost trying to make some of them not Joe Buck, just because it was.
He's on hearing a lot of Joe Buck this episode.
It's almost like he's one of the most prominent announcers in sports. Something like that.
It's almost like his dad did the same thing too.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, so moving on to basketball. Baseball wasn't that hype except for that. I'm not really remembering that much of 2011 besides the Freeze. That Game 6 was just so incredible. That's the only highlight that needs to be mentioned.
Rangers a strike away from winning twice.
Unbelievable. So basketball, we had the Mavs over the Heat. Yeah. Dirk finally gets it done. That's very cool.
And it was like LeBron is going to finally win his ring. He's with the Heat. He's with the super team, and literally goes from being the chosen one to the frozen one.
Correct.
On the biggest stage. Basically gets outplayed by Jason Terry and JJ Barea. But really, that was about Dirk finally proving that.
Exactly.
He's one of the
Dirk that was the year Dirk proved he's one of the GOATs. He's one of the best power forwards in the league. That was the year it's just okay, in our lifetime growing up, the 3 best power forwards, 3 best big men. Let's take Shaq out of it because he played a lot in the late 90s. It's KG, Duncan, and Dirk. KG, Duncan, Dirk.
Yeah.
That's
for sure.
Done.
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Moving on to football in 2011. We had regular season. We had Tebow time. That was the beginning of Tebow Mania.
Time is so
Tebow
amazing.
Mania. Pretty incredible.
It's still crazy to think that happened, and that his last ever win and last ever touchdown pass in the NFL was his game-winning 80-yard touchdown to Demaryius Thomas in overtime.
Incredible.
Literally never had another win as a starter or threw another touchdown. So that's pretty unbelievable.
And now after all said and done with Tebow Mania, he's still playing minor league baseball in the Mets farm system.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Unbelievable.
So going on into football, you wanted to put this in. You had the Saints 49ers catch part 3.
Yeah, that game was incredible. There were 4 lead changes in the final 3 minutes.
Incredible.
Unbelievable game.
NFC Championship game?
That was a division
round, excuse me.
Because obviously then Eli, leading into Eli's run,
oh my God.
beats the 15-1 MVP Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay to advance to the championship, and then beats the 49ers in San Francisco in the championship game. If you remember,
Kyle Williams.
Was it Kyle Williams?
Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams muffing 2 punts, including one that lost them the game. So that was incredible, which was arguably Eli's greatest performance, and then it led to part 2 between the Pats and the Giants.
Giants-Patriots part 2. Eli takes it again.
And the notable play in that one was
Manningham down the sideline.
Throw to Mario Manningham, and then Ahmad Bradshaw accidentally scoring the game-winning touchdown, the most awkward play. And you know what else happened that year? Jason Garrett went 8-8. Yeah, and that was the first of 3 years in which Jason Garrett lost the final game of the regular season against one of each of the 3 divisional opponents to lose out on the playoffs.
Congratulations on being a Cowboys fan and having your decade ruined by Jason Garrett highlights.
Literally the entire decade was ruined by Jason.
All right, 2012. We're moving on. Starting off 2012, Kaepernick, Ravens, 49ers, Ravens Super Bowl.
Yeah, Kaepernick takes over in the middle of the year, takes the league by storm, and they end up going on to play in the
power outage in the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, had the historic comeback in the championship game, go to the Super Bowl. Ravens ended up winning the Super Bowl, and not to be forgotten, Ray Lewis's final year, he had come back from what it seemed like a season-ending arm injury, comes back for the whole playoff run.
Goes out on top.
Goes out, and it's kind of underrated. His career ended with a goal line stand. How fitting is that?
Very
the goal
fitting.
line stand,
especially for the Ravens D,
exactly.
Ray Lewis.
Goal line stand ended up being incomplete to Michael Crabtree, and
he's a sorry.
The comeback was short.
All right, so
and that was also the season that RG3, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck were the big quarterbacks. RG3 took the league by storm, and just as quickly as he was in, was just as quickly as he was out. And the audio that I wanted to play for this is 2012 was the butt fumble game. Thanksgiving Day. It's kind of unfair and sad that this ended up defining Mark Sanchez's career, but I guess it's kind of too funny to not have this be the audio. And the part I kind of love about this audio is, I love Chris Collinsworth. I think he does an excellent job. He could not have less of an idea of what is really going on during this play. Doesn't actually realize the hilarity of it, but this was the butt fumble play Thanksgiving night in 2012.
Years ago, we talked to Tom Moore, then at Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator. You got a busted play here, and then Sanchez gets hit. The ball is loose, and it's alive.
I have never seen this before in my life. Watch this. Vince Wilfork is going to throw Brandon Moore back into his quarterback. He's going to fumble the football. This is what Reggie White used to do to people, forklift them and just lift them off the ground. Mark Sanchez not expecting it, and it was the backside of Brandon Moore that knocked the ball out.
It's Vince Wilfork was there, but that's not what made the play incredible. But it was just Sanchez running into his ass is really what that was.
So going on to basketball, that we had the strike shortened season in 2012, which then led to LeBron dethroning the Celtics.
Yeah, finally. So that famous Game 6 when it looked like that he was going to lose to the Celtics yet again, and comes into Boston and has one of the most historic games of all time, drops 45, 15, and 5. Just totally ruthless, totally ripped my heart out. And then once it was Game 7, even though we were really competitive,
we were really
competitive. He hit the big three over Brandon Bass late in the fourth quarter, and that kind of ended up being it. And that led to LeBron ending up going on to the finals and finally capturing that elusive title he so desperately coveted, as Mike Breen would say, winning in 5 games over the Thunder.
Right, so LeBron finally got it done, and that was also the year Derrick Rose and the Bulls were the 1 seed, and Rose gets his first injury of many.
Yeah, so it really ended his career. Game 1 against the 76ers, and they end up losing that series in 6 games to an 8 seed after that happens. That was crazy. Kind of the downfall had begun already for Derrick Rose.
And in baseball, the Giants win it again.
Yeah, did we even say that? We didn't even say that. Yeah, just kind of a not particularly
Giants win it again.
Noteworthy thing. Giants won it again.
Giants win it again.
So 2013 was a great year in sports, I think.
A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, so the Heat are now I think that was the best LeBron team. I think that was the best season LeBron ever had. They had the 27-game winning streak that year. That conference final between the Heat and the Pacers, where him and Paul George were going at it, and were able to break through in Game 7. And they go in and play the Spurs, and it looked like the Spurs were going to win the championship. Who knows what was going to happen with the big three? Were they possibly going to be broken up? And they were literally bringing the Larry O'Brien trophy out on the floor, thinking that there was no way that they were going to come back. But when it was 95-92 with under 20 seconds left, I think we all know what happened to send this game into overtime.
Should the Spurs foul? Should Miami go for the 3 right away? Just attack the basket. James catches, puts up a 3. Won't go. Rebound Bosch. Back out to Allen. His 3-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. Spurs do not have a timeout.
Who's the short guy? Cole? Norris Cole, who's jumping up and down.
Oh, yeah. I love that you pointed that out. Norris Cole's jumping up and down before the ball is basically even released. Yeah. Ray Allen, can't believe that he was even on that Heat team. Don't even get me started on Ray Allen. Just, God, that whole situation irks me, but I guess it's getting better over time.
Curry's breakout year.
Curry totally had his breakout season that year. His real breakout game was against the Knicks in MSG. Had an unbelievable game. Also had an incredible series against the Spurs. They were actually the only team in the Western Conference to beat the Spurs in any games during that entire run. That was pretty incredible. And speaking of runs, it's when the Celtics, Doc Rivers, Paul Pierce, KG run officially ended in very heartbreaking fashion against the Knicks, where they were really trying to make an incredible comeback, but that pretty much ended. In football?
Yeah, 2013 in football, we had the Iron Bowl, kick 6. Zach and I were actually together watching that game.
I think it's the best college football game I've ever seen, period.
Yeah, in my lifetime, it's the best college football game. I put that up there. That's the college football game in our lifetime that goes there with, the Flutie game and, the band is out on the field.
I can't attest to those entire games. This game from start to finish was absolutely incredible, and It would have been incredible even without the kick 6.
Mandel will hold it now officially made it 57 yards.
Remember, a blocked kick can go the other way, too. He's got to be careful and get it up.
On the way. No, return by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown. Auburn. An answered prayer.
Easily one of the biggest moments of the decade.
Yeah, absolutely bone chilling. And then seeing Nick Saban just throw his headset on the ground, and then A.J. McCarron go and kiss his really hot girlfriend on the sideline.
It's like, sorry, honey, you lost the game, but we'll have a fun time tonight.
pretty much. That was absolutely incredible. And then of course Auburn. Yeah, they beat Oregon. They beat Oregon 22-19 on the game.
They beat Oregon.
Yeah, beat Oregon. So that was pretty crazy. But for the NFL, I think that was the best NFL team of the decade, in my opinion, the 2013 Seahawks.
The Hawks.
So dominant. You had Russell Wilson on a rookie contract. Lynch was absolutely killing it at running back. Incredible defense. They had the incredible NFC Championship game against the 49ers that ended with Richard Sherman deflecting the ball, intercepted, right corner in the end zone, which led us to the famous Crabtree, sorry-ass receiver speech after the game. And then they go and play the Broncos in the Super Bowl, who had basically broken every offensive record possible for most points ever scored. Peyton Manning, like around 5,400 yards, 55 touchdowns, and they absolutely dismantled them in all three phases of the game, starting with the safety from the first play from scrimmage, and it was a complete avalanche ever since then. Beat them 43-8, absolute domination. One of my favorite teams of the decade for sure.
All right, and 2013 in baseball, we had the famous Ortiz speech and Sox run. Let's not forget that was the year with the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yeah, and totally inspirational for that
run. Galvanized the city. Ortiz rallied the troops, rallied the city, and the Sox went on an incredible run. That was one of my favorite Sox teams.
The Ortiz game-tying grand slam is just... It's too insane.
Incredible.
Yeah, with Torrey Hunter flipping over the wall and the
police officer.
The cop in the back.
Unbelievable.
It's so insane.
And side note, 2013, Andy Murray finally wins Wimbledon, gets the monkey off his back.
What's that? I don't know.
Wimbledon
what is that?
You don't know what Wimbledon is?
I do know what it is. I'm just saying. It's tennis. I don't know. It's like
it's just like Nadal and Federer kind of like were dominating forever. Djokovic was just coming onto the scene, and like Murray was still there, but just couldn't. He's British. He's from Scotland. It's just like you got to win the one, like the big open where you're from. It's just a big deal. He was also the first British guy to win Wimbledon in a very long time. It was a lot of years between like him and the last guy.
All I'm saying is if Wimbledon was on and South Park was on,
I'd watch Wimbledon.
I'd watch South Park.
I love South Park, but I'd watch Wimbledon.
I can't do tennis.
Moving on to 2014. 2014, we had Giants finally completing the dynasty, their third World Series in 5 years. Bumgarner with the MVP performance, which is to this day one of the most incredible pitching performances I've ever seen in a postseason
Retired 14 straight. Not to be forgotten was the walk-off home run to win the pennant to get to the World Series.
Right.
Literally winning the pennant on the home run just to even get them there. Of course, Bumgarner comes in Game 7, beats the Royals in Game 7. That was an incredible game.
Incredible thing to watch. And one thing that was plaguing the 2014 baseball season we had was, let's not forget, A-Rod was suspended the entire year. He was suing baseball over his alleged PED usage. Stained.
Crazy. Like, sues the league, sues the Yankees. And has anyone in the history of sports made a bigger turnaround than A-Rod? Like, that was only 5 years ago, and he was like a villain of sports and baseball.
A-Rod's such a dick. I remember.
Dude, he's got that OJ manipulative personality.
Dude,
I've been saying it.
Dude, I remember when A-Rod was being interviewed by the press for what was going on, and he was asked like, A-Rod, what are you taking? Come on, what are you taking? He's just like his answer. Yeah, I don't know what I was taking, but they looked like Tic Tacs. Like, fucking amazing. Like, that's incredible. It's like, fuck you, A-Rod.
You hate A-Rod.
God, he's so... Oh, my God.
That's hilarious. And then, even though you were a Red Sox fan, you wanted to...
We have to touch on the Derek Jeter walk-off single to end his career. That was, as a Red Sox fan, that was the one and only time I was watching something Yankee-related and was just like, wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. That was actually very cool. The Derek Jeter walk-off single to end his career in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Do you remember that actually wasn't his final game, though?
No, it wasn't his final game, but it was his final game in Yankee Stadium. So, like, that's why.
Because he didn't went to Fenway.
Yeah, that's why it's, like, final game in Yankee. It's just so cool.
Definitely
it's just
crazy.
such a crazy way to end the career.
I'll quickly touch on basketball because there's a little bit more for football. That was LeBron's last run with the Heat. Makes it to the finals. In my opinion, I couldn't believe that. I thought the Spurs were done. I thought Manu Ginobili was done the previous year. And it goes from Manu Ginobili in 2013 having one of the worst finals performances ever to a year later yamming it over Chris Bosh like with authority in like a game clinching or series clinching game in Game 5. They absolutely by a record margin of points actually just destroyed the Heat. Kawhi Leonard, we didn't even know what he was going to become at that point, but he was able to win Final MVP.
Duncan gets his fifth.
And Duncan gets his 5th title. That was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Couple things to touch on for football.
Where do you want to go first?
Des Bryant caught the ball.
Des Bryant did not catch
Des Bryant caught the ball.
Des Bryant 100% caught the ball, but the refs that day decided that he did not catch the ball. That's exactly what happened.
Like, people talk about Des Bryant in that situation. That play defined Romo's career.
Defined a lot of people's careers.
That was Romo's moment. There was like about 4 minutes left, so the game wasn't over, but it's like, oh my God.
Des's reaction.
That was the best Cowboys team, in my opinion, of the decade.
Of the decade, that was the best Cowboys
Better
team
than
of the
2016. And that team was incredible. DeMarco Murray, Offensive Player of the Year.
Bummer.
Like, unbelievable. God, I still can't get over that happening. And something I'll just quickly touch on I think is funny about that whole run because it leads into the Super Bowl. So each team basically had something insane happen for them to get there. So the Cowboys in the wildcard game against the Lions had that incredibly controversial pass interference that was overturned, and they didn't even mention that it was overturned and on the 4th down. So then the Cowboys just got the ball when it looked like that the Lions basically extended the drive and were going to win the game. In addition to Des Bryant running on the field from the sideline without a helmet, should have been a penalty in itself. Really weird situation going on, and then Terrence Williams catches game-winning touchdown, so the Lions kind of get screwed. Then the Cowboys advance. They get screwed over by the Des Bryant play, which allows the Packers to advance. The Packers advance. They blow the championship game in one of the most unbelievable championship games ever. Can't recover the onside kick. Crazy things were happening in that game and end up losing the game in overtime.
To the Seahawks
On the Golden Tate touchdown. Oh, no, it wasn't Golden Tate. It was Jermaine Kearse. Jermaine Kearse caught the touchdown to win the game 20-22 in overtime. And then the Seahawks, then they get in the situation where they're about to win the Super Bowl. All you got to do is not even give the ball to Marshawn. It's run any play other than that, which I don't understand. You're literally taking a one-step hitch and throw where there's no read. It's like I'm throwing the slant over the middle.
You're throwing the ball before the play's even being like hiked.
There's
already
no
know
read.
where you're throwing the ball.
It's one step and throw. It's like it doesn't to Ricardo Lockett. It's not like you're throwing it to Calvin Johnson. So just run any play other than they did, and here's the play.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal. Malcolm Butler, who almost made the phenomenal play that wound up in Kearse's arms. There are flags on the field for a celebration. Amazing.
And that play defined Lynch's career. It's kind of funny now that he's back. If we can,
beast mode's back, baby.
And just to kind of go off subject for a second, he comes back for the game against the 49ers last week, and they literally had the opportunity on second and goal again to give him the ball and basically right the situation, and they completely messed up the situation, got a delay of game. That whole thing was hilarious.
Lynch once again doesn't even touch the ball.
Yeah, didn't even touch the ball because they got a delay of game.
Fucked it up
because they messed it up again. That was crazy. So yeah, and then within Lynch not getting the ball, it kind of restarted Brady's run of dominance because he hadn't won a Super Bowl in 10 years, and then he's able to get his 4th and totally rebooted his.
Let's not forget Brady during that year was plagued by the whole Deflategate.
Yeah, and that's when oh my God, that was the deflate. Well, not the whole year.
Well, the end of the Colts AFC Championship game started Deflategate in 2014, and then it went into the next year where Brady was suspended. We'll get to that in 2015.
So he was not suspended in 2015.
Whatever.
Yeah. he wasn't. 2015 was kind of an interesting year for me because that's when I really became a big Mets fan. As heartbreaking as the season was in the end, the run to get there was it was honestly magical. And the run really started with this. This clip's a little biased for the one clip to play for 2015, but Wilmer Flores, I talked about this on one of the previous podcasts. After thinking he was being traded and wasn't traded, he was crying on the field. Now all of a sudden he's back, and we're playing this pivotal series against the Nationals. He'd already had the RBI earlier in the game, has a couple incredible diving stops. We're in the bottom of the 12th. Wilmer Flores, with the opportunity to write his own script, tied at 1 in the bottom of the 12th.
Flores drives it. Deep left center field. Taylor back near the wall. It's out of here! Flores ends it with a home run! Wilmer Flores night at Citi Field comes to a fitting close, and the Mets win it 2-1 in 12.
God, I love Gary Cohen. Is Gary Cohen not just the absolute GOAT?
I can't wait for baseball.
I can't wait for baseball either. It's the goddamn
Gary, Keith, and Ron in the booth.
Gary, Keith, and Ron. So the Royals end up beating the Mets, which was the most competitive 5-game series like I could think of. Incredibly competitive, very interesting series. Also in baseball, the Jose Bautista incredible home run against the Rangers. If you have a random hour that you don't have on, like an hour of free time, look up that inning in full on YouTube because the entire inning was absolutely incredible, starting with like really controversial plays on the top of the inning about catcher interference or batter interference, and there were bottles being thrown on the field. That's leading up to that is what led to the Jose Bautista having so much energy and emotion in it because of what happened previously in that. 2015 is really when the Warriors dynasty began in basketball.
Curry wins MVP.
Yeah, Curry won the MVP, and it's crazy because he had a pretty good year, but wasn't even anything compared to the next year, and he'd already had one MVP. That was our first of 4 straight Cavs Warriors finals matchups because LeBron had made the decision to go home, come back to Cleveland, wanted to bring them a title, and then if you remember, LeBron was basically on his own in that final. Kyrie dislocated his knee in Game 1. Kelly Olynyk took out Kevin Love earlier in the playoffs, so he was out. And he absolutely carried the Cavs, basically putting up like 40, 12, and 10 every night. It still wasn't enough because the Warriors, we didn't realize were becoming one of the biggest dynasties that we would ever know. In football, Peyton Manning's last season, he was horrendous. He was absolutely horrendous.
Carried by incredible
defense. People forget Brock Osweiler started many games within that season.
And then because he performed well, got a huge contract.
Hilarious.
And he's awful.
Is he? I don't even know what team. Is he even on a team right now?
Osweiler's probably backing up someone somewhere, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
I think he was with Miami last year. But yeah, that was crazy. He had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions on the season. But they wanted his leadership for that playoff run. And he really didn't even throw the ball that much, but once they got to the Super Bowl against Cam Newton's 15-1 MVP season, they were able to win 24-10, basically behind Von Miller in the defense. The 2 biggest plays of the game were Cam Newton getting stripped inside his own 5 and recovered for a touchdown earlier in the game, and then Von Miller getting the strip late in the game, and then Cam Newton making a business decision to not jump on top of the football, which his career has absolutely never been the same since that particular moment. In my opinion, never been the same since then.
Hasn't bounced back.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to touch on arguably my favorite game of the playoff game of the decade, Packers-Cardinals playoff game. Absolutely incredible stuff was happening. If anyone remembers, like the last 5 minutes of that game, Larry Fitzgerald, I think it came off Fitzgerald's hands, deflected pass in the end zone, caught for a touchdown. It's 20-13. The Packers have a 4th and 20 inside their own 10. With under a minute left to extend their season. Rodgers rolls left deep in his own end zone, throws it like 50 yards, 60 yards in the air. It's complete to Janis inside the 40, or roughly inside the 40. And then he, with 5 seconds left, throws the Hail Mary into the end zone, tie the game. Absolutely incredible. And then they lose. The Cardinals win the toss. The first play of overtime, Carson Palmer somehow gets out of it, rolls right, throws across the field to a wide open Larry Fitzgerald, makes an incredible catch and run all the way down to the 5-yard line. 2 plays later, they throw a shuffle pass. Larry Fitzgerald wins the game in overtime. And once again, another situation that Aaron Rodgers goes into overtime and never even touches the football. Happens to them all the time. But that was definitely one of the better games of the decade for sure, and was worth noting. And I don't know if it was, I think it may have been my girlfriend telling me this, or maybe it was you, that 2016 was arguably one of the most incredible sports years, like almost ever. If you think about particularly the 3...
2016 was pretty good.
Particularly the 3 championships in each of the sports were absolutely incredible. I'll start with basketball. That was Kobe Bryant's final season, and he, for the most part, had technically one of the worst seasons anyone ever had because he still wanted to chuck the ball up. And that final game, when he dropped 60 points against the Jazz, who coming into the night actually needed the game to make the playoffs, absolutely caught fire late. Believe he hit his last 5 shots from the field.
They were feeding him the ball, obviously.
Yeah,
they were doing it. Everyone on the Lakers was doing this on purpose.
He literally was 24 or 50 from the field. He took 50
Everyone
shots.
knew what was going on, but everyone wanted it to happen.
And at the end of the game, he just absolutely took over and actually hit the game-winning jumper,
which was very cool.
That was absolutely
great way to go out.
Absolutely incredible. And everyone was there, like Kanye and Snoop Dogg and Jack is there and everything. That was absolutely crazy. But before we go away from the NBA, in my opinion, the greatest basketball team, even though they didn't win, was the 73-9 Warriors. Steph Curry had the greatest basketball season I've ever seen anyone have. He was absolutely unbelievable that season.
Is that the team of the decade?
I think it is, even though they technically, honestly, I hate the argument of team of the decade because it's if you didn't win.
Would you say they're the best team of the decade?
It's between them and the 2013 Heat.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and I guess people don't forget the Thunder were up 3-1. Obviously, they were up 3-1 against the Warriors in the conference final, and it looks like they were going to be taken out. But KD and Westbrook couldn't get it done. The incredible Game 6, Klay Thompson with his record number of threes, and Curry and Thompson both hitting threes late to end up tying it at 3 games apiece, go on to Game 7, win that series in 7. KD blows the 3-1 lead. Then they go on to the finals. They're absolutely dominating the Cavs through 4 games. They're up 3-1. Him and Kyrie were able to put together incredible performances. Him and Kyrie both have 40-point games. LeBron had another 40-point game. And then in Game 7, we all know what happened in that one with LeBron, in the end, getting the block off Iguodala, and then Kyrie hitting the game-winning 3 over Steph Curry. And the final of that Game 7 also ended up being 83-79, just like in the 2010 Game 7 final score. Kind of interesting quirk. And for college basketball, I think we know what the moment of the year was for 2016.
So 2016 was the year we had Villanova in North Carolina in the March Madness NCAA Finals Championship game. And that's the year we had Chris Jenkins hitting the buzzer beater to win the game, which was unreal.
But also, who was the one on UNC who hit the incredible shot to tie it right before
Marcus Page, or was it McAdoo?
I think it may have been.
I think it was Marcus Page.
Yeah. Not important because the real moment, because no one cares because they lost.
And that's why it's great because no one remembers.
Because no one cares. It was
that incredible floating double clutch in midair shot.
Yeah, you know the shot I'm talking about.
Well, Jordan is just celebrating his mind out in the stands.
But no one cares because Chris Jenkins did this.
Going to go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt.
Jenkins
gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
The way the fireworks and everything goes off right when the ball goes in the hoop could not have been more perfectly timed and cooler in the moment.
And the fireworks sounded so weird. The fireworks sounds like something like gunshots. It's crazy.
I'm sure some people there thought they were.
Yeah, literally. For sure.
It's fucked for making jokes about that. It's
but
the time we live in.
Yeah,
it's
honestly.
the decade we live in now.
Okay, so that was incredible basketball. For football, so Brady ends up finally 2 years later getting suspended 4 games for Deflategate, which was ridiculous. he still ends up putting together an incredible season, end up making it to the Super Bowl, and in the Super Bowl, I remember watching that when the the pick six was returned for a touchdown by Alfred, making the score 21-0. I was like, wow. Like, are the Falcons about to win the Super Bowl?
Are the Falcons about to get their first Super Bowl win ever?
And they're like, wow, like Brady looks really bad.
Is this the end of the dynasty?
And it gets even worse. They end up down 28-3 with under 3 minutes left to go in the game.
With under 3 minutes left to go in the third.
Excuse me. Down 28-3 with under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. And they end up putting together the unbelievable comeback. The Hightower strip sack was really the one that propelled it. And then it looked like that the Falcons were actually going to like hold off when Julio Jones had the incredible toe tap grab late in the game when there was 28-20. And then Kyle Shanahan, who I guess is doing a great job now, calls a pass play, and Matt Ryan takes a huge sack. They're almost out of field goal range. Then they throw another pass to get back into field goal range, but there's holding. Took them out of field goal range. They end up punting the ball back to the Patriots. Edelman has the incredible catch on that drive, end up tying the game or in the touchdown, and then they still need the 2-point conversion because Gostowski had missed an extra point earlier. They needed 2 2-point conversions in that. End up tying the game at 28. And then another situation where it's like once Brady won the toss, that's game. Like you knew he's going.
You knew it was over.
You know he's going down the field, and he's not gonna give an opportunity to the Falcons to get the ball. And James White ends up scoring the touchdown, and Brady had won. At that time, I mean, he was already the GOAT then, for the unbelievable comeback. It ended up being his 5th ring. Yeah, that was one of my favorite games ever. And with the Cowboys, just quickly to touch on that, Cowboys were 13-3, and they lost their first playoff game to the Packers at home. And another Jason Garrett fun year for us, even though we were incredibly good. But when it matters most, count on Jason Garrett to come up small.
Once again, the Cowboys choke.
Completely choked.
Once again, it's the theme of the decade with the boys.
And then also for other college, that was the 2016 season is when Hunter Renfrow caught the game-winning touchdown against Alabama.
The Clemson-Alabama national championship game. That was Clemson-Alabama part 1, right? Correct? Or is it part 2?
And that was part 2 of Alabama had beaten them the year before.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
what it was.
So the Renfrow game was Alabama-Clemson part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And what an unbelievable game because Jalen Hurts had led them down the field thinking that he had the game-winning drive.
Touchdown run, yep.
And
didn't.
Deshaun Watson then gets the ball and
makes history.
With like 1 second left on the clock.
Yep. So, but out of all the things in 2016, I think the biggest one had to be the Cubs ending the drought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cubs finally get the World Series, get the curse over with. Incredible.
Yep, and to tie everything in with 2016, so the Cavs, they end up breaking the curse of Cleveland, no title since 1964, by overcoming a 3-1 lead in dramatic fashion to win their championship. Then the Indians, just a few months later, are trying to break their curse, and they're up 3-1, and they end up blowing a 3-1 lead to the Cubs, who end up breaking a bigger curse than the Cleveland itself. I think it's funny how like
sports work like that.
Yeah, like that's just some crazy sports stuff. And it's crazy, the Rajai Davis home run to tie the game off Chapman. It was like, oh wow, like
it's like wow, the Indians are gonna get it done. Wow.
Yeah. Also, kind of funny. I totally forget who this was. There was some guy who tweeted like months before the playoffs started that the Cubs and Indians would be playing in a Game 7 of the World Series, and neither team would be able to break the drought. So it would end, Game 7 regulation would end, and there would be a rain delay because God couldn't decide whether or not which team they wanted to break the drought. In real life, like there was a rain delay after the 9th inning. There was like a 20-minute rain delay going into extras. Like that's some pretty.
God needs some extra time to figure out whose life he's gonna eternally fuck and whose life he's gonna save.
That was pretty crazy that we could say that we watched the Cubs win a World Series in our lifetime.
Very cool. You want to know what's also pretty cool?
What?
The next year, being able to say that we finally saw the Eagles win a Super Bowl in our lifetime.
Yep. So then on to 2018. Because I don't want
2017.
No, we don't need to talk about 2017. We don't need to talk about 2017. Let's just get it over with. Here's the Philly special.
Against Peyton Manning, because you don't want him to get the ball too many times. You don't think you can hold him out. And here we go. This could decide the game.
4th and goal. And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws, caught. Foles, touchdown.
Chills.
Not sick. Not sick.
Chills.
Not sick.
One of the greatest sports moments of my life.
I just think it's annoying that now every team tries to run
Every
the Philly
team
special.
is running the Philly special now. Low key,
kind of annoying.
every team has it in their playbook.
Yeah.
We see it in a lot of college football games. Even though the Eagles were not the first team to do it, a high school team ran it, a college team, Clemson ran it, another college team ran it. I forgot which. I think the Bears ran it that year in the regular season. Like teams were running it, but the Eagles just made it famous, obviously, because it was in the Super Bowl. But it's a good play call, but. Incredible. Definitely that was the highlight of 2017 for me.
Highlight of your season, but arguably the biggest singular play of the decade was the Minneapolis Miracle.
Oh, that was cool.
By the Vikings over the Saints to win. But like we were kind of saying, where we can't even remember who hit the shot for UNC. It's like, the Vikings had that incredible play, but when you get blown out by the Eagles in the championship game, like
who cares?
Who really cares?
Who really
cares?
Much, And that's why being a Minnesota Vikings fan is awful.
That is like kind of underrated, like one of the worst teams. Like,
Snake Bit, yeah.
They
have awful. Their radio announcer.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Their radio announcer calling all of like their blown games is incredible.
Yeah,
she's like, "You have got to be kidding me!" It's just like
like the Brett Favre pick one.
It's just like I'm not kidding you. This is what happens when you are the Vikings radio guy.
Yep. Yeah. So the Astros, they won the World Series, dominant team. They beat the Dodgers in 7.
They were cheating the whole time.
Yep. So I don't know. It's like Aaron Judge kind of took the league by storm that year. 52 home runs as a rookie, and the Astros and Yankees played in a pretty competitive. It's just so weird talking about that because it's like
doesn't feel
like
that
the
long
Astros
ago.
won all 4 games at home and like lost all the games in Yankee Stadium. It's just like what the fuck was going on in Minute Maid Park that like we don't know about?
Dirty,
like,
rotten scoundrels.
Like that's so weird.
I mean, moving on to basketball.
Yeah, I mean
we had the Celtics' unexpected run to only just get blown out by the Cavs, and then KD went to the Warriors, and the Warriors just kind of beat the Cavs.
Beat them up.
Not that exciting.
They beat them up.
We had the tour takeover.
Yeah, so that's 2017 season is when Tua Tagovailoa takes over for, like that pronunciation? Kind of just killed that. Taking over for Jalen Hurts at halftime. Has the incredible comeback over Georgia. I feel like Georgia throughout this decade was also just getting so many heartbreaking plays for Georgia.
Georgia, unfortunately, had to deal with playing Alabama all the time.
They also had that heartbreaking Hail Mary against Auburn.
Right.
Just like so many other things, but then
just the whole state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta suffered so hard this decade.
Not great.
Like the Braves blew it every time they were in the playoffs.
How often were they even in the playoffs in this decade?
Pretty often.
Good amount, I guess.
Good amount. I'd say at least 4.
Blew it this year.
They blew it this year.
Yeah.
The Braves were a good team this decade.
Yeah. And no one had ever heard about Tua Tagovailoa at that time.
Right, freshman just comes out of nowhere, kid off the bench,
throws the game-winning touchdown in overtime.
That was crazy because that was when he came in the game. It was freshmen who no one has ever heard of playing against freshmen on Georgia. Like Jake Fromm was a freshman that year. That was cool. So it was freshman.
Yeah, so that was 2017. And moving on to 2018, I know the one you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we had 2018 UMBC takes down Virginia. First time ever in the history of March Madness, a 16 seed has upset a 1 seed.
Not in controversial fashion. Not on a game winner. They blew them out.
They blew them out.
Yeah.
They knocked their socks off.
Yeah. Crazy. And it's funny thinking about last year, everyone was doubting Tom Brady and the Pats, like didn't think they could get it done. And like now this year, it's just like people are doubting them even more. But
low-key back to UMBC, it's like Virginia, they lose. And then the next year they just win it all.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for 2019. Yeah,
like win it all.
It's kind of like what we were trying to explain to Tommy the other day, where like them losing to the Yankees in 2003 on the Aaron Boone homer is almost it needed to happen for like the 2004 run coming back against 3-0. the Boone homer made coming back against the Yankees and then winning better. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas like them losing to UMBC
and then winning it all next year.
It's just like it almost makes it worth it because it's like not worth it, but it makes the run so much better.
It's a 2-part movie.
Yeah, unless you were a senior.
Unless you
were a senior in 2018.
Oh man.
Yeah, that would suck. But yeah, so football, Mahomes totally bursts on the scene. Becomes the second player ever to throw 50 third player ever to throw 50 touchdowns in a season, and loses to Tom Brady that incredible AFC Championship, to the not so incredible Super Bowl against the Rams. It's crazy. And
that was probably the worst Super Bowl of the decade.
I'll quickly go.
It was boring. Great. It was boring as shit.
I'll admit, yeah.
It was boring. I don't care what you say about good defense. It was not an entertaining game.
It wasn't great. It wasn't even great. It was literally
fun.
just incomplete passes and punts.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. Though the big play of the game was the play to Gronk down the sideline. Like that was pretty much it. Like there's a couple defensive plays that stands out, but in a season that had so much scoring, the fact that would be the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever is pretty crazy.
We had the Warriors win it all again in 2018.
Yep, won it all again and just sent LeBron running out of Cleveland again.
We had the Sox set a franchise record with wins in a single season.
Yeah,
best Sox team ever.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy run.
Incredible run. They went wire to wire.
Beating the Yankees was pretty cool.
Best team all year. Beating the Yankees in the playoffs was cool. Was at game.
You were at their worst game.
Was at their worst game.
Yeah. You were at game 2.
Fuck yeah. Okay, game 2.
Yep.
Price was pitching.
Yep. Sanchez was hitting bombs. The whole Price dynamic too. It's like
incredible.
Especially in that game. Like, oh my God. Like, should Price be like taken out of the rotation?
Everyone I was like around in Fenway Park during that game was ready to find David Price and murder him after that game. It's just like, bro, pitch the fucking ball over the plate and have it be a strike.
And it's crazy because now, no matter what he did before that or after, it's just like
it's fine.
Ring.
Got a ring. Yep, everything's okay.
Got a ring, and
everything's okay.
The series against the Astros was crazy too.
Unbelievable series. The Benintendi catch was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen in baseball. It's a game-saving, series-saving, World Series sending catch. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Like that one diving catch makes it 3-1 as opposed to 2-2.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
yep.
Totally changed.
It's like once it's 3-1, we're gonna lock it up in the next game, and that's what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. And onto 2019 for football.
Still in progress.
It's kind of hard to talk about because whatever you guys want to say, like whatever happens in January and February of 2020 is 2019 because that's the 2019 NFL season. So that's just the way it is. So nothing's happened. I'd say the biggest story.
Lamar Jackson.
2019. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's taking the league by storm.
MVP.
We know he's going to win MVP. Obviously should. Pretty crazy. For basketball, like Kawhi and the Raptors, even though the Warriors were just completely decimated by injuries by the end of that.
It's still incredible and very impressive. The whole run was shocking.
Yeah, crazy.
Shocking.
Yeah, it is crazy by the end of Game 6 that it was literally like no Thompson either, like had torn the ACL. But all credit to Kawhi, the incredible run over Giannis.
Can't take it away.
Yeah, Giannis was the MVP, beats him in the conference final as well. So, and of course the shot against the Sixers in Game 7. We were watching that together. Remember we were watching that? We're all just kind of like silently watching the game, just kind of sitting there, and just like shot goes up, we're all just silent. It's just like hits the rim. It's like just like instantly screaming like crazy.
Embiid's reaction.
Yeah, just like literally crying. And then I know your favorite topic is like how awesome the Nats run was this year.
Oh man, the Nats run this year was one of the best postseason runs.
Yeah.
It's just the whole season too. They were left for dead. I personally didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. No one did. I was rooting for the Mets to make the playoffs to get that wild card spot, the last wild card spot.
Because we could have made the same run.
You could have made the same run.
We were built the same way.
Like, but you didn't.
But we didn't because we suck.
Because Diaz is on your team. And so the Nats get into the playoffs, and it's just what an incredible run.
It all started with the Soto
against the Brewers.
Yeah, because I mean it's technically game-tying hit with the error that ended up giving them the lead.
Right, the error, like, the right fielder.
They're literally down 3-1 with the best bullpen guy that year on the mound, Josh Hader. Talk about something that's sparking a run. Like
incredible. The whole run was phenomenal. Think about the moments the Nationals had, the Trey Turner incident. Like that literally almost ruined baseball.
Yeah, ruined baseball. And then don't forget the Dodgers with the back-to-back homers with Rendon and Soto up Kershaw.
Like Kershaw.
And then Kendrick hitting the grand slam.
Kershaw's legacy once again tarnished. Like unbelievable postseason. Just the Nationals run was incredible.
And then in Game 7, and then the fact that no home team won.
Right. Oh, my God. The fact that every road team won,
Yeah.
unbelievable. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
And went 7, just,
And
you
then-
couldn't have wrote a better script.
And Greinke's absolutely dominating in Game 7. And then classic, like, Houston's pump for analytics. Oh, he's completely dominating. But
It's
he
his third time through the lineup. We got to take him out.
let up a homer. So it's like, okay, even though it's still 2-1. So they bring in a totally gassed Will Harris. He comes into the game after Soto had walked the previous at-bat against Greinke. So they bring in Will Harris, and Howie Kendrick makes Nationals history.
He struck out 11, walked 1. Opponents hitting 176 against him. That's down the right field line into the corner. This ball is gone for a home run. Nationals on top. Howie Kendrick has made it 3-2. Off the pole and right.
So I want to let it play a little so we can hear that celebration in the dugout. That is so cold.
Adam Eaton and Howie Kendrick.
So cold.
Putting the big rig in reverse.
Oh, God. That is awesome.
Man, that was incredible. Like, Howie Kendrick's rounding the bases. I can't imagine how much adrenaline is just flowing through you. Amazing. Seeing that, just like everyone there must have been so stunned. Joe Buck has no idea what to call. It's just like you hear the bang.
Because he's like, and Kendrick hits the home run. It's like, I can't even believe that just happened.
I don't know what's happening.
The way the sound that it hit off the foul pole also is
so
just
sick.
Unbelievable.
And like, just Kendricks is just so fired up. It's just like the dugout is so fired up. It's like, fuck the Astros. Like, it was so sick.
Yeah, literally. Does that wrap up the decade?
That wraps up.
I mean, I can't think of anything else. Like, I'm sure there's many other things that we could talk for hours.
There's so many things we could have talked about. We left out 2015 American Pharoah winning the Triple Crown. First Triple Crown winner since 1978. Firm got it done.
It's like a short guy on a horse.
Triple Crown winners are very sick. That's cool.
It's like a short guy on a horse.
There might not be another one for how many decades?
Wasn't there literally just one like recently? Dude, I know a lot about horses, dude. I'm a big horses guy.
I watched the Triple Crown.
I listened to it on the radio while delivering pizzas, and people were going crazy, and I was like, so this horse ran faster than other horses 3 times? That was kind of my mindset when I heard that.
You're ignorant, man.
And I was just like, why is there not sports talk on?
You're just so
right
ignorant. All right. So I think that wraps
that
up.
wraps up the decade.
What an incredible decade, filled with incredible sports memories.
Yeah. I think I have like 2 followers on Twitter. It's Spittin Facts 40, but like, I don't even know why I have followers. Like, who are those couple random people? They're probably bots. I don't know. But like, if someone's listening to this and like wants to like tweet at me like some dope stuff about what they think about what their favorite moments of the decade are, that would be awesome. But like, probably won't happen. But it's fine. I respect it. It's all good. We're having fun.
We're having more fun than you're having fun.
We're having fun.
We're having more fun.
So we just talked a while about that. So just in our closing seconds, got the NFL playoffs coming up. Give me your overall prediction for the NFL playoffs.
Biased prediction first. Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to take care of business on the Seahawks. Take care of business on whoever we play next, and we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Unbiased prediction.
Right.
Unbiased prediction. Ravens, Seahawks. So beating my Eagles. Ravens, Seahawks, and we'll...
I just want to see Lynch...
you want to see Lynch back get it done?
Yeah, I think the Saints are the best team
really
in the NFC,
unbiased
though.
prediction is Ravens Seahawks, but we're not going to go there yet until the Eagles lose. But the Eagles are going to win, so the Eagles are going to get it done.
My Pats prediction is a lot harder that they didn't get that bye. I can't believe that the Dolphins beat them in New England.
Fitzmagic got it done.
He is Fitzmagic, honestly.
Right?
I can't believe that.
People will never forget this about Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, everyone will remember one thing or another about his journeyman career, but people won't forget the fact that he spoiled the Patriots getting getting a bye for 10 years in a row throughout the whole decade. The Patriots
this was the first year that they didn't have a bye since 2009.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny?
Unbelievable.
No one's going to remember that if the Pats win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And on that note, we should wrap it up.
Yeah, that was the episode. It was kind of our decade wrap-up. Hopefully you enjoyed us talking about what we thought were kind of our favorite moments of the decade, what needed to be talked about, and all that kind of stuff. Next week, Who knows what we'll talk about next week? Probably some NFL playoff stuff.
We're going to spend a lot of time talking about football, and maybe we'll do a little bit of basketball. But
and some baseball stuff that's happened that we didn't get to talk about.
Maybe not even. We should just majority football.
All right.
It's playoffs, boy. Playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I had fun. I had fun talking about the decade with you. Hopefully this was pretty enjoyable.
Hopefully we're doing this in 10 years.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see. So with that, see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Spittin' Facts with Zack. Follow Zack on Twitter at SpittinFacts40 and continue listening on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts.